Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. I've got a stack of 10 comics here, and I believe that they're in order that makes sense. But I'm starting with the superhero stuff. I generally read the Marvel DC books first each week. They're quick, in my opinion. They're generally easy. There's nothing challenging. They will remind you of what is happening, what has happened. I'll have counterexamples for this stuff later. The word balloons go in the right order and direction. It's just quick, it's kind of disposable, and it gets me into, well, one, it puts a quick dent in whatever the stack is. So I banged out two real quick, and yeah, I will definitely have counterexamples later. So Billy is on the moon. He's fighting Garguax and Killer Bee, and Mary shows up and saves his ass, and Mary looks fantastic, and I wish Todd would make a figure of her, except he'd probably make a terrible face, and then I wouldn't want her. Todd. So, this whole series so far, the gods and Solomon, since they make a comment that Solomon is not a god, have been manipulating Billy this entire time, and this ends with him giving them a challenge to kind of stay out of his business, or he's going to quit being Shazam, or the Captain, as he's currently calling himself. And they kind of call his bluff, and there's going to be a challenge, and if you've read the solicits, then you know that it's going to be Billy versus Freddy, and I want to see that. I want to know more. I've been enjoying Wade and Mora, and this is no exception, so still enjoying it. The questionable one, whether or not I have been enjoying it, is Guardians. We're up to issue 8, and everyone is now part of Groot. There's an entire sector of space that is part of Groot, and there's a Groot ship. Everything is made of wood. And there's a reason for it, and it's interesting. It's just, I don't know that I really care. I should probably drop this, and I haven't. But it's ultimately fine. It's one of those things where it feels like just because Marvel continues doing this that it's going to end at issue 12, and I don't know that that's true, but it does feel like everything could wrap up by then, and I don't know. I care about the Guardians of the Galaxy in spirit and not reality in the last couple of writers that have touched the property. So I enjoy them, but not as much as I should to be continuing buying it. Counterexample number 1, and I've mentioned this each issue, the Enfield gang number 4. It starts, and it doesn't remind you of anything that's happening. It starts in the rain. There's a guy that gets shot in the face, except it looks like a railroad spike goes through his face. I think they should have drawn that better. But here it's in the rain, and then it jumps to not raining. And you're like, well, where and who and when? This series in general could benefit from some text boxes, just to give you context about what is happening and where and especially who. But that scene ends with the start of rain, and I'm like, I still don't know when or where this is happening. And then it cuts back to rain, and people die, and I'm like, who are any of these people? Why should I care? I have a problem, if you haven't noticed by now, with the sunk cost fallacy. It's issue 4 of a 6-issue series. I kind of want to see where it ends, but I also don't super care. It's historical fiction, and I care more about it in that regard than I do the story of any of these characters that I can't remember their names. There's the one guy, Enfield, has a scar on his face, and that's the only reason that I know who he is each time he shows up. But all these other people, I don't know, I don't super care, and I don't recommend this really for anyone. Phantom Road issue 6. So this had been on hiatus since issue 5 came out a couple of months ago, and I'm super glad that it's back. This also doesn't really remind you of what is and has been happening, which I think it should, because again, it was on hiatus. I remember enough, I'm gonna say. There was, I'll say, there's always a trade collection that comes out from Image whenever stuff goes on hiatus, then it comes back and there's a trade collection. So like if you wanted, you could repurchase and then reread, and then, I don't know. I feel like writers should just work in a certain amount of recap. Anyway, its weirdness continues, and it's also awesome, and there's a part with the crowbar. There's some great out-of-context panels in this, and this is the one that I threw up on Instagram. It's great. I enjoy it despite sounding like I'm complaining about it. It's great. Might get pick of the week. I don't know. Knights issue 2. I was a fan of Knights issue 1 after rereading it. So I read it the first time through, was confused, read it the second time, and then it made more sense. I think I'm done, though. So this is almost like a weird supernatural slice of life thing. And it has this, which handily reintroduces characters and sort of gives you their status, and this is great. It also tells you that the United States only has 31 states and that Florida is owned by Spain, and neither of those things still matter. It was mentioned in issue 1, it didn't matter then, and it doesn't matter this time. I don't remember why he got into a fight, but I remember most of the rest of the first issue. So this, more so than the first issue, is one of our main characters trying to get home and winding up in a bad place in the woods, and he has this talking mole that is guiding him somewhat, and it's just so random, and I don't like, there's no, if you're gonna do sort of this slice of life with weirdness, I need a hook. I need to care about the characters, and I don't care about any of these people. The first issue didn't make me care. I do care. No, the first issue didn't make me care. I don't know enough about any of them. I know the most about Vince, except he's not really that much of a character. He's there's just nothing to hang on to here, and the arguably more interesting characters are barely in this. So I'm calling it. I enjoyed Bolero from this writer, and I'm not enjoying this. I'm bowing out. Transformers issue 2. So I just mentioned that Phantom Road might get pick of the week, and that was a flat out lie, because it's Transformers. Transformers is amazing, and I loved it, and it's also horrifying. So it starts with Optimus on Earth. He's right here, and he's talking about what beauty. And I find that strange, and I mentioned this to my wife so that I could turn the page and show her the horrifying next thing that happens. And she was also confused. She's like, well, if he's from Cybertron, why does he find Earth beautiful? Shouldn't he find a bunch of metal stuff beautiful? And in that, I agree with her. But here he is, coming out of somewhere, cave, and there's a crunch. And here's the horrifying thing. He killed the deer. Like, oh, wow. This is rough. It's also, what happened to the cave? Johnson, what happened to the cave? Are those trees? Definitely looks like rocks. Anyway. There's also exposition in this. There's some history about what has happened and who is who, and it's great, and I'm loving it. And it also feels realistic to me. I love Cliff Jumper's reaction to humans. What is that thing? It's fantastic. I'm reading this, and even though I'm horrified, there's also a smile on my face, and Starscream is just killing humans. Humans are dying left and right in this. It's pretty amazing. But it's amazing in general. There's also, in back here, there's talk about more wrestling moves, and Oh, here, this one here, talking about upcoming wrestling moves done by Transformers. Looking forward to it. This book is amazing. I love it. Highly, highly recommend it. Midlife, issue 2. So the first issue, again, mostly slice of life. It ends with a guy that's caught in an explosion. He's a firefighter that has not really ever fought a fire. He took an administrative role to avoid fires, and there's a bit of additional backstory given for that, and in this, because he now knows he's sort of impervious to fire, I don't know, and even he doesn't know really how far that extends. He's testing it, he's trying to figure it out. He told his 2 friends, and they are helping him. They're encouraging him. And the conversations that he has are friggin' amazing, and I love it, and it feels very natural, it feels authentic, and I'm enjoying the way it's written and what is happening. This is a success. I was unsure after the first issue because it was too much slice of life. There wasn't enough, again, of a hook for me to be interested, but I grabbed issue 2, and now I want to get the rest of the series. So I'm adding this one to my pull list officially. Petrol Head, issue 1. This is fantastic. I'm just going to say that right now. The art is amazing. I have no idea what this person has done before, but I want to know more. And it is robotic car races. So there are robots who race cars, and this is happening in the past. There's a jump to the future, to the present, but it's spectacular. This is the racing is considered an extreme sport as a form of entertainment for humans who live in these bubbles. He's here because the planet is wrecked, and there's some secrecy, there's some drama going on there, and there's a talking bird, and it's great. I love it. I care about the characters. The story's interesting. There's action. There's drama. There's, like I said, secrecy. So there's a mystery. There's some people getting slapped by robots, and it's great. Highly recommended. This is a 4-issue series, and I'm definitely signing up for this. Damn Them All, issue 10. This is one of those counter examples that I was talking about earlier. This is dense with words, and that's not a complaint. It's just I tend to flip through the books before I look at this. Look at all those words. I tend to flip through the books before I start reading them, before I choose which one I'm going to read, just to get like a mental time frame of how long I'm going to need to invest, how long I need to set aside to read something. And so, like I said, the superhero stuff, the Marvel DC, is generally quick. It's like, I don't know, 10 minutes, maybe less. This takes some time to work through. And it's not just the language, although the language is fine this time. There's nothing that's too extreme as far as accents go. And it's good. And we're up to issue 10 by now, so I don't think I need to really say what's going on, but there are demons and angels, and it gets a little political, so there's some UK politic stuff in here as well. But it's great. Again, Charlie Adlard, Simon Spurrier, so I'm enjoying it. Dark Ride, issue 9. This is another one that, for me, is always on the cusp of being dropped. And this helps. This goes a long way in helping me decide to stick with it. There's a focus on the daughter on Halloween this issue, and we find out more about her story, and there's a confrontation at the end of this that is particularly telling. This guy's arms, by the way, weird me out. Like, he's got this young looking face, and then he's got these giant arms. Look at that. I mean, that looks wrong, right? Am I alone in that? Anyway, something horrible happens to him. And then we find out there's a surprise given. There was what I thought was going on turns out not to be the case, and what the son, what her brother, what he thought was going on, is also not the case. But she tells him what really happened, and now I mean, it makes sense, but also, I don't know. I'm more interested. I'm engaged. I'm going to continue reading. But this one was always kind of on the cusp for me of being canceled, and now I'm going to continue reading and see where it goes. So that is everything that I got this week. Petrol Head gets a special shout out. This is also great. It's much, I think, better than the first issue. Transformers is definitely getting pick of the week. And yeah, I really should just stop buying Enfield Gang, and I know that I'm not going to. But Petrol Head, special shout out because it's a first issue, and I hope people check it out. But Transformers is the best book of the week, and it's amazing. There is a G.I. Joe connection, and I've read the previews for Cobra Commander and for Duke, and Duke is the previews borderline terrible. It doesn't really do anything for me. It's him getting bitched out, and Cobra Commander. It's pretty stunning. It's shocking. It's great. That is a fantastic preview. But Duke's, I'm mildly more interested in Duke after this issue, and read into that whatever you want. But Transformers is my pick of the week. Danny Warren Johnson forever gets pick of the week. But yeah, that is everything that I got this week. As always, I get all of my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.